Hi, this is Sensei James Leonelli from Sensei's Weekly Mindset, and I'm here to talk to you about betonline.net. Betonline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball, soccer, and esports. Don't forget my personal favorite, MMA. We've got it all on betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, we can help you find those on BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. And don't forget BetOnline for NHL, boxing, golf, and like I said, my personal favorite, the sport of MMA. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Life isn't always easy, and you don't have to face it alone. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of needs. To get started, you simply answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's most convenient for you. The best part is, if your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price, all from the comfort at home. To start your journey and to get 10% off of your first month, go to betterhelp.com/sensei. That's betterhelp.com/sensei. BetterHelp, you deserve to be happy. Hi guys, Sensei James Leonelli here to talk to you about another one of our sponsors, LMNT. An electrolyte drink mix. Each one of these little packets gives you exactly what you need to keep you as hydrated as all us athletes like to be. If you're like me, you work out a lot, and when you work out a lot, you also sweat a lot. Now, when we sweat, we don't lose just water, of course. We also sweat out salt. We sweat out electrolytes. So each one of these packets contains 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, giving you everything that you need in order to maintain optimal hydration and nothing that you don't. So to go online, place an order for your sample pack, and to get yourself a bonus free sample pack, you're going to go to this website right here, elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. You're going to see this down in the video below, but I'll say it one more time for you. elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. Again, it's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Sensei's Weekly Mindset. I'm Sensei James Leonelli, owner and head instructor of Tiger Schulman's here in Smithtown. Once again, I am back in my home recording space, ready to give you guys this week's food for thought, this week's mindset. You'll notice I'm wearing a little bit more of the 40th anniversary collection. Again, this is the black shirt with all the logos we've ever used in Tiger Schulman's history on the back. I thought it was pretty cool, and in my opinion, it's one of my two favorites, which is why I have that and the white shirt that I wore last week. But again, check it out. It's tiegear.com, the 40th anniversary collection, and also check out this street. Oh my gosh, it just went right in my head. The streetwear line that they just put out. Again, another really awesome line of material, cut a little differently than the Everyday We Train line, from what I've learned. But Street Style is the name of the collection. But there's everything there from t-shirts, hoodies, men's, women, you name it. They have new colors and stuff of the Everyday We Train line. So a lot of good stuff out there. Definitely check it all out, tiegear.com. So as we are speaking today, we are just days removed from Flex Fight's 35, Malice in Wonderland, which is a cool kind of whimsical theme. Unfortunately, we were in the Melrose Ballroom. As I say, unfortunately, I like the Melrose Ballroom a lot as a venue personally. Definitely of our venues outside of Stereo Garden, it is my favorite personally. I am not as much of a fan of some of the other venues that we've been in at Missouri. I don't like as much as Melrose Ballroom. HK Hall also. Again, decent place is just not a place I like as much as I like the Melrose Ballroom. The one downfall of not being in our home venue of Stereo Garden is we're not able to like decorate and kind of expand upon our theme a little bit more as we often do in our home arena. When we're in Stereo Garden, the theme hits hard. Right? And not that the theme didn't hit hard through the graphics and all the amazing work by Janelle, our graphic designer, but I always think they hit a little harder in Stereo Garden personally. Nothing wrong with Melrose Ballroom. Just we lose the ability to make that same level of commitment like we do at Stereo Garden. But still a great concept. And we started off the night with some great jiu-jitsu. We had a 6-man jiu-jitsu tournament. The unfortunate part about that, it was supposed to be 8. We had 8 men booked, and it would have made things, I don't want to say better, but it would have made the bracket a little easier to follow for sure. But good matches throughout the night on that, because we just kind of banged that out rather than do like the opening round, then an MMA fight or two, and then back to jiu-jitsu. We just buzzed right through the jiu-jitsu tournament. So we opened the day with a decision. The next, we had Lucas L.J. Johnson win by triangle. Then as we continued into the next match, we had our gentleman who won the decision, Jonathan Lopez. He won the decision in the first fight. He won it again in the third. Then as we moved forward, we had Andrew, the Latin Samurai Franco, who won via buggy choke, which made Alex Cassiano, my broadcast partner, absolutely lose his mind. He is a very big fan of the buggy choke, to say the least. It's funny with the way and how much Alex Cassiano talks about buggy chokes. It makes me wonder if he's got anything else in his repertoire. But either way, this is his favorite submission. When Andrew hit the buggy choke, it was very tight right away, and his opponent did his best to try to scramble out. LJ really did a good job trying to scramble out and twist and turn and do what he could, but he was caught and had to eventually succumb to that buggy choke. And then, ironically enough, we kind of lost Franco for a little bit there. He apparently went and changed his rash guard and like his whole setup. But he won against LJ Lopez in the finals using exactly the same setup. It was really a thing of beauty. It was something you could tell he practices a lot, because he used the same setup from the knee shield to set up the buggy choke. And man, I don't want to say he caught Lopez sleeping, but he caught him beautifully. It was one of those things where maybe Lopez wasn't watching the last match because he got put in the same scenario, hit with the same setup, and Alex lost his mind even more. Like, he literally got up and was like running. He was so excited about the buggy choke because, like I said, his favorite submission. Then from there, we made our way into MMA, and we stayed in MMA for the remainder of the evening. And we got off to a crazy, crazy, crazy start. We had Jamani Oliver winning by knockout in less than 10 seconds. Looking back at the fight, you could convince me that the referee could have let it go a little bit longer, but the referee doesn't have the benefit of hindsight. He's got to go based on what's happening right then and there. So in that moment, I could see it was a great stop. Looking back, it doesn't look as good, but that's only because I know how the rest plays out. Then we had a rare decision on the night. See, Jamani kind of kicked off something with a knockout in less than 10 seconds. The next fight, Kevin Poblano, was a unanimous decision. And then we went right back to first-round knockouts as Nick Sabato came out and he landed a knockout in about 40 seconds over Derek Voorhees. Then we had one of my favorite and self-given nicknames, a nickname that I gave to the fighter, James Mucho Grande out of Dante Rivera, comes out, wins by knockout in 5 seconds. He has 2 fights. His opponent making his debut in MMA, but did have some boxing in his background, and James Mucho Grande just poured it on him right away. Then we had the Lone Tiger Showman's representative on the card, Dominic Mandriano. He won via a body kick TKO. He won a spinning back kick to the body, round 1. So you can see where we're going here, right? Round 1 finish after round 1 finish after round 1 finish. Then Jeremy Levitt from Renzo Gracie. He must have not got the memo because he waited till 15 seconds into the second round to get his TKO finish over Marcos Valdez. And again, just a debut fight for Levitt, but looked very calm, very composed. And once he let his hands fly, they really did the talking. Lost the fight then, and then we went back to Ruslan Chimaev as we made our way back up to 150 pounds. He landed a beautiful, beautiful head kick. Patrick Mister came out, and he was doing well for the opening bits of the fight, and he just kind of got caught in a rhythm where his hands were just kind of alternating. And right as those hands were alternating in the up-down kind of manner that some people do, the head kick came right over the top, landing the knockout. And it was a thing of beauty, perfect stoppage by the referee. Then Phil Whalen comes out, coming off of a loss back in February, and obviously training like a man possessed, and you could tell as he landed a knockout in 90 seconds. And again, another first-round knockout. Beautiful timing on the jab. All right, Phil, when you knock a dude out with a jab, it shows you 2 things. Number 1, you're putting your body behind your jab, and number 2, your timing is excellent. You generally catch the person running in when you knock him out with a jab, and Phil did exactly that. Great timing, body behind a jab, really nice stuff. And then we moved on to Brandon Smith, another representative of Dante Rivera, BJJ. He won via TKO in round 1. He took his man down, moved his way into the crucifix position where he pinned one arm with his head in his arm, pinned the other arm with his leg, and then just let his hand go until the referee had no choice but to stop the contest. Then moved up to the big boys there. Jake Marino coming off of a shoulder injury in his last loss back in December of 22. And he comes back, wins a unanimous decision over Christian, the Haitian sensation Theodore, who came all the way down from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to come and compete with Flex. And then we had the return of Yaya Aruna against a very game Georgi Lomtadze. Georgi, we've seen kickbox in the Flex cage before, and he's a very composed striker, very good kicks. So I was interested to see how he was going to do in the world of MMA. Yaya we saw back in April. He had a fight previous to that, but it was a long time ago, like 2017, kind of long time ago. At any rate, Yaya in April, he had a 13-second or 14-second knockout via slam. His opponent came in, they kind of tied up. He picked his opponent up and slammed him to the ground. Honestly, it looked the way that I do to my nephew, like the way I pick up Kai and toss him. Like, it looked that effortless when Yaya picked up his opponent in February. And he comes out with Georgi, lands a couple of big leg kicks on Georgi. Georgi goes to return one. Yaya kind of rushes him after he misses. He gets a body lock. Georgi pummels an arm, and Yaya does something beautiful. Pulls Georgi away from the cage, and he had kind of like a seatbelt control, so the hands, one over the shoulder, other one down, coming under the armpit. He takes that top arm and just kind of slides it down by the elbow, pinning Georgi's right arm against his side. So now that right arm is completely pinned in, and Yaya pulls his man up in the air and boom, slams Georgi down, knocking him out again, knocking another man out again, this time in 27 seconds. And Georgi no slouch, so it just goes to show you just the prowess of Yaya, the Simba Aruna. I mean, it was Alex Cassiano jumped out of his chair. He was so excited for the return of Yaya after the way Yaya finished his opponent in April. And I can't blame him. And now this guy, Alex said something to me very telling. He goes, if I'm a coach and I have a fighter at 155 pounds, I don't know if I take that fight. It's a dangerous fight for you to take. Because, you knock somebody out with a punch or a kick or whatever, like, that's a lot different than knocking them out with the ring, than slamming them into the ring. Like anybody can get caught with a punch, but to have somebody be able to pick you up and throw you into the floor and knock you unconscious, that's a scary proposition. Another great and very, I'm sure will be viral win by Yaya Aruna. Highlight of a clip for sure. We moved our way up to the main card now. Brief intermission. We had Jeff Lau out of Renzo Gracie against Luis Salomon out of Carnicella. A great fight. Really competitive. Two very, very skilled guys at 125 pounds. Luis walking away with the win, being unanimous decision. And then we had, we moved back up in weight a little bit. We had Justin Collazo Erdet versus Aaron Montez of Carnicella MMA. Aaron riding high. He had a submission win back in February over John Rogers. And he pulled off some real slick jiu-jitsu. I was really, really excited about the transition that he made as he went from back to arm bar to going to feed the arm in like you're going to break the grip. And as Justin turned in, Aaron popped a triangle on him. It was a real thing of beauty. I broke down the sequence a couple of times on the screen in the highlights. It was a real thing of beauty. Something definitely to be proud of if you're Aaron Montez for sure. Moved down to 135 and an armbar coming yet again. This time for Felipe Matos. He's coming up from Atlanta. A BJJ black belt. Lots and lots of BJJ in his background. Fighting a very game Ben DeCrenza. Ben 4-1 in MMA, 3-1 in kickboxing, 3-1 in jiu-jitsu super fight. So very experienced out of a very good team. And they got to the ground, and Felipe showed his mastery on the ground. Caught a really, really nice armbar off the back in transition. It was literally one of those things where Ben was reaching his hand to the ground, and I think Ben's hand hit the ground, but Alex didn't seem to think that the hand hit the ground. Like, as the hand was reaching, Felipe was putting himself in armbar position, got his hips to elbow, and just extended that arm out beautifully. Whether I was right or wrong doesn't matter. What matters is how beautiful that armbar was that Felipe put on him. Just a real thing of beauty. Then we moved up to John Morgan versus Malcolm Hunter. This is a heavyweight fight. John Morgan reclaiming for his gym the heavyweight crown that his teammate had abandoned when he moved up into the pro ranks. And John, a wonderful football player against Malcolm Hunter. Malcolm, 2 boxing fights in his background, first MMA fight here. But the prowess of Jordan Morgan to take people down really, really shown in this fight. Every round, getting a takedown, moving to mount very easily, and just letting his hands fly. There's a couple of times where justifiably the referee could have stopped the fight, but credit to Malcolm Too Tall Hunter, he hung tough, and Jordan Morgan was just doing his best to try to play the drums on Malcolm's head and get Malcolm out of there, but he was tough enough that it didn't happen. Moving on, we had Michael Sharp Sanders taking on Austin Handgun Halleck for the super rare title. Austin comes out. There's a little bit of an exchange. Austin lands a right hand and a left hook, and that is all she wrote. Moving to 6-0 as an amateur, that will likely be Austin's final amateur fight, and very easy to see why. Did some really, really good work, and that's the second time in recent memory I have seen him just rob a man of his consciousness with one punch. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. His timing is impeccable. His stand-up looks phenomenal, and he won the super rare title in that bout. I'm a little disappointed I won't get to see him defend that, but hopefully I'll get to see him in the Flex Pro ranks for sure. As we move forward, our main event of the evening was Anthony Spataro Jr., very highly touted, over Arben Loga, also very highly touted. 2 guys who I thought were like in a lot of ways mirror images of each other. Both with very good grappling bases. Arben specifically wrestles against the cage very, very well. Very much the Energizer Bunny. This guy's just going and moving. He showed some pretty good hands in a couple of his fights, but really where he shined is grinding on people and causing scrambles and all that stuff. And Anthony Spataro was another person who has absolutely shown in his ability to create scrambles, and create opportunities to get the fight to the floor, and then once he got to the floor, finish the fight. And finish the fight he was unable to, as Arben Loga showed some really, really solid groundwork in rounds 2 and 3, taking the win and Anthony Spotaro's and his flyweight title. And Arben was game, man. He was very, very game. He was very excited about the prospect of having beaten Anthony. He had nothing but good things to say about Anthony, even in defeat. And he said, if the first thing I have to do is give Anthony a rematch because of how good he is, I totally understand. Which I would watch that fight over and over and over again. It was a very, very, very exciting fight for sure. Both guys very highly skilled. Both guys with endless gas tanks. It was a real good showing at 125 for both of those guys. But so that's kind of the card in a nutshell, but I'm sure you see the overwhelming theme of the first round finish over and over and over again throughout the card. And what it really spoke to me about, seeing all these fighters finish the fight, some of them in as little as like 5 seconds, it's not as though each of those guys who won in 5 seconds, it's not like when they were preparing for the fight, they said to themselves, you know what? I'm only going to fight for 5 seconds Friday night. They didn't believe that at all, right? They didn't prepare like that at all. Instead, they were prepared for 3 hard rounds. They were prepared for the fight to be as uncomfortable as possible. And it's something Tiger used to tell us all the time. I'm sure he still does tell those young guys who are fighting all the time. You prepare for the worst, but you expect the best. Right? You expect the best, you prepare for the worst. Right? You walk into the ring feeling like your opponent is a nobody, like he doesn't have business being in the ring with you, like he doesn't know anything even close to what you know, and that you're going to be the one that dictates everything in the fight. But you prepare like you are going to fight the absolute best fighter on the entire planet. And I think those two things are very complementary, right? Because as I think every fighter would like to walk out into the ring, touch gloves, measure with a jab, let a right hand go, and have that be all she wrote. I think every fighter would love to have that happen. But I don't think they'd love to have that every fight. I think, I don't think they'd feel like they learned as much about themselves and all the other things that come with fighting without some of the extended things. But more importantly, just the worst thing that can happen to a fighter, honestly, is when they do that a couple of times and they start to believe their own press a little too much. It's the complement of the two. Because I've certainly seen fighters that sleep opponent after opponent after opponent, right? Like Austin Handgun Halleck, a good example. I've watched him in the last 2 fights. As soon as he touched somebody, they went out. Now, the only problem with that would be if it changed how Austin prepared. Now, I don't know Austin well enough to describe his preparation, but I can tell you he never misses weight. He always looks to be in very good shape, and he comes from a very good team. So I'd have to imagine that he's prepared for 3 hard rounds. And I think he's not going to be the kind of guy who believes his own press too much, where he's believing, I'm just going to knock everybody out, so I don't need to be worried about going all 3 rounds. And that does happen to fighters. But it also happens to people in all walks of life, right? In the positive, in the negative, right? People forget to prepare for the worst, but expect the best, right? Sometimes that's even just a mentality issue, right? It's even just like how we approach problems, right? Like, I don't know, I had someone in my life who, and this jumped out to me, when I started to think about what I was reflecting on from Flex Fights, I was recalling this conversation with a loved one, where they had received a diagnosis of a disease and the prognosis of such things. And they kept talking as though the worst case scenario was what was going to happen. And that was always going to be the thing, and their body was going to look like this afterwards, and blah, 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 blah. And they had to be reminded again and again and again that yes, mentally maybe you prepare yourself for the fact that the worst could happen, right? You prepare yourself for what could be the worst outcome. But you do everything you can, and you proceed as though the best is going to happen, right? Silly example, but an example nonetheless. When someone walks into a job interview If as they are walking into the job interview, they're thinking, this person's not going to hire me, they're not going to like my resume, this isn't going to go well, well, you're basically guaranteeing it's not going to go well, right? Your mindset, your mentality, it's going to be projected out there, right? The same holds true for like saving for your retirement. If you're saving for your retirement, but your mindset is, only the worst. I'm not going to live that long. And all sorts of things like that. Now you're not prepared for the best case scenario. You have to always prepare for the worst, but expect the best. By doing that, you're making sure you are prepared no matter what the outcome. Because what's the worst thing that happens? If you prepare for the worst, but you expect the best, right? Let's just play it in reverse. Right? Oh no, I prepared for the worst, and then I had to go 3 rounds. Oh no, I was ready for that. How terrible. Oh no, I saved all this money for retirement, and now I can really enjoy my retirement. These are not downsides, right? There is no downside to preparing for the worst. But just don't get caught up in believing in that worst too much and expecting that worst too much. Prepare for it, but expect the best. Right? Stay positive no matter how difficult things get, and no matter how scary the prospect of what's in front of you may be. So there's my closing thoughts for today. Right? Remember, expect the best, prepare for the worst. So that's all I have for you guys this week. Make sure that you guys, remember that you guys can reach me via email, senseileonelli@gmail.com. Wow, let's try that one more time. You can reach me via email, senseileonelli@gmail.com. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at @sensei_leonelli. You can find everywhere I'm on the internet, at my linktree, linktr.ee/senseileonelli. You're going to notice on there a new event. This coming Sunday, the 19th, Tiger Schulman's of Long Island, we are raising money for a great cause. One of our own in the Tiger Schulman's family, Mika Nugent, who is the fiance of Sensei Lyman Good. She and Sensei Good were involved in a car accident a few weeks ago, and it was a bad one. Mika is in a medically induced coma still. There's also the medical bills piling up. She's a veteran of this country, having served in the Marines. So we are doing a march for Mika, we're calling it, as a fundraiser to help raise money for her medical care. So I'm going to have the GoFundMe linked in my link tree so you guys can get on there and donate. If you want to participate, great. If you can't come out but you want to donate anyway, absolutely. Natty Combat Apparel is making a March for Mika shirt, so please buy that. That's in the GoFundMe. So that, again, just go right through my link tree, get that, please. Again, linktr.ee/senseileonelli. Make sure you guys find my school online, tsmasmithtown.com. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Tiger Schulman Smithtown, Twitter and Instagram at TSMMA_Smithtown. You can find the Tiger Schulman's organization as a whole at tsk.com. Make sure that you guys leave a rate and review, just helps. Make sure you guys subscribe, get your new episodes every Wednesday. Most important thing you can do for me, though, guys, make sure that you guys share the podcast. It is the only form of advertising that I have, and it is the greatest compliment that you can give me. So I very much appreciate when I see you doing it. So, with that in mind, my friends, until next time, invest in yourselves. I'll see you guys on the mat.